very, very much, Victor. Are you hearing me clearly? Yeah? Members of the head table and the leader of like that? What's going on? All right, okay. All right, there we go. Yeah, I was acknowledging the members of the head table, especially the leader of our slate, MP Rushton Parry. I want to thank the host for having us here this evening, Mr. Siraj. He was reminding me that my knowledge of him is very long in this battle and goes all the way to 2015, when another person fought the same fight that we are fighting now. And in fact, if we play the speeches that were made back then, it's as though one of us would be speaking, because the exact criticisms and comments that were made back then are applicable now. I just wanted to make the point, Mr. Suraj, that your home is a blessed home. I've observed all the Tulsi plants all over. And that is a sign that these are blessed premises, and we are very lucky to be here. I want to touch on something that Jason started with, and Edward touched on to some extent, and that is the issue of credibility. Because our party has lost election after election, and we have been in opposition for 9 years now because of a lack of credibility. We were rejected in 2015 in the marginals because we did not have credibility. We did not put the right candidates in the safe seats, and that affected us in the marginals. We also didn't put the right candidates in the marginals. When Edward was speaking about people who are not from here, he looked at me. I don't know whether that was intentional, but I'm really not from here. I'm from a far place in Tunapuna, El Dorado, right? The marginal of marginal seats. And I have fought every election for the UNC since 1995, when the candidate was Hector McLean. In every election, I have fought for the UNC, put my professional reputation on the line, election after election, trying to win Tunapuna. And in 2015, we were in government. We wanted to hold on to power. They sent us a candidate in Tunapuna who could not read. I kid you not. When we had to mic the area, a member of the other slate, who is also from Tunapuna, I'm not going to call his name, we had to sit down with this candidate that they sent for this marginal seat, read the message to him about 5 times until he could memorize it, and then do the microphone recording to mic the area. And that emphasizes the point I'm making about lack of credibility. So we lost government. We lost the 2015 election. Did we do any analysis of why we lost? Was there ever any post-mortem done to understand where the party went wrong? The answer is no. We went into the 2020 election. Well, the day the candidates were announced in 2020, that's the day we lost the damn election. Right? Martin Daly made the point. I'm sorry, I see some children. I apologize for my language. Martin Daly made the point in the Express, for those of you who could remember, that when the leadership of the party picked the candidates for the 2020 election, it was not about winning. It was buying insurance for a loss. Right? The leadership was buying insurance for a loss. In the event that there was a loss, a certain person will not be removed. I don't want to call names because I don't want to sound too harsh, because it's a sensitive topic, I know. But we have to face reality. And why we have to face the reality. We are seeing more and more the stories in the newspaper about these very brutal home invasions. There was this story about less than 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, if you remember it. The bandits went in the home of a police officer at 6 o'clock in the morning, not in the middle of the night, 6 o'clock in the morning. They beat the police officer and his wife in front of their children. Last week, there was a story with Mr. Alan Babwa, that businessman from Couva. The same thing happened. They beat the man and his wife in front of the children and they kill him. While we were on the walkabout earlier on in Oropuch, there's another story about a home invasion somewhere close to here where the same thing happened. Wife and husband beaten in front of the children. These things are happening because the government is incompetent, uncaring, incapable. But we can't remove them. I'm making this point to emphasize to you how important Saturday is. If we allow this state of affairs to continue in this country, we are going to regret it. This serious crime that is taking place is going to affect more and more people that we know. God forbid it affects any one of us personally. And our party continues its total lack of credibility in the way it does politics in the country. And there's something that happened very recently, that if you had any doubt at all about what I was saying, I could point to that and show you what I'm talking about. We went into election mode for an election that was never called, that is due next year. We opened nomination for candidates. We closed nomination for candidates. We haven't started screening yet. Well, I want to suggest to you that that whole thing was a farce. It was a farce intended to show up the leadership of the party. There was no genuine intention to open, close nominations and screen anybody for any general election. It was merely meant to fool us into believing that, look, a general election is coming. Let us circle around the leadership and support the leadership and start getting candidates ready for this general election. We were fooled. Or someone attempted to fool us. And it happened again. Because the night that the by-election was announced, it's the same night that our internal election was announced. And it was put 2 days before the by-election. Why? Well, the answer is obvious. The leadership is fearful of a loss in the by-election and couldn't take the chance of having the internal after the by-election. So again, the leadership bought insurance for a loss and take all of us for a bunch of fools. My brothers and sisters of the UNC, we simply cannot allow the party to continue like this. Because the consequences are too high, not for Barry and Khadija and Saddam and Arnold Ram, and it's too high for us. And we have to put an end to it. And how are we going to put an end to it? By coming out in your numbers on Saturday and putting an X by all 17 clasped hands, praying hands, and ensuring that this team, led by MP Rushton Paré, becomes the new Natex of our beloved party. I thank you.
Thank you very much.